Hi there. So I'm just trying to get the mic running. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I think so. I think that's all ready to go. Let me just pin my video, spotlight my video. There we go. Okay. You can message me if there's any issue with the sound, but hopefully my batteries are okay and we should be okay to go. Excellent. So welcome to Wednesday evening yoga. Come and find a nice easy seat on your mat. Coming into a cross-legged position. If sitting cross-legged is not comfortable, grab a block or a pillow, slip it underneath the hips, just raising the hips up above the knees. Sometimes helps take the pressure away from the knees. And from here, just take a nice long inhale and then sigh it all out in a big nice sigh. Just letting the shoulders drop away from the ears. Inhaling again, breathing in nice and deeply. And then sighing it all out, just letting the shoulders drop away. And one more time, nice long inhale. Well done. Just gently closing the eyes. Bringing your awareness into the room, onto your mat. Sitting up nice and tall. Feeling those seat bones connected to the earth, and with that connection to the earth, lifting up through that spine, lengthening through the spine, creating space between each of the vertebrae, letting the shoulders drop away from the ears down the back. Nice long neck, head sitting gently on top of the spine, hands either in your lap or resting on your knees, wherever feels good for you. Wherever you can feel that relaxation start to seep into those shoulders, just letting that tension drift away from the shoulders, letting the tension drift away from the mind, becoming focused and present here now on your mat. For this next hour is just for you, for your yoga, to center the mind. Bringing the awareness to the breathing, noticing the breath, and breathing in through the nose now and exhaling through the nose. Nice long inhales, really filling up the chest. Nice long exhales, letting all the air go. Inhaling and really inhaling through the chest, down into the belly, feeling that belly expand as you fill up with air. Exhaling, lifting up through that pelvic floor, drawing in the belly, pushing the air up and out and away from the lungs. Completely emptying the lungs, making room for new fresh air on the next inhale. Trying to find your Ujjayi breathing, our oceanic breath, our victorious breathing. Gently constricting the back of the throat on the inhale and the exhale, noticing how that makes that sound of the ocean waves. Really focusing on that breath, focusing on the sound of the waves. Noticing how when you calm the breath, when you take the focus and the awareness to the breathing, it really helps calm and center the mind, helps relax the body. Just noticing the breath, being aware of the breathing throughout the practice, trying to maintain the oceanic Ujjayi breath throughout our practice. Switching on our bandhas, lifting up through that pelvic floor, engaging the pelvic floor, pulling that navel in and up, engaging that core, engaging our Mula Bandha, our Uddiyana Bandha. Sealing in the energy, ready for our practice. And then from here, gently opening the eyes, sitting up nice and tall, bringing the focus back into the room. Inhaling, lifting the arms, reaching up nice and long through that torso. Exhaling, taking that right hand down to the right side as you lift that left hand and look up towards that left thumb if it feels good. If there's any discomfort through the neck, then take your head down and look down towards the floor. That's fine too. Listen to your body, check in, taking any modification that feels good for you, holding here, breathing into that left side, breathing into that left lung. And then on the next inhale, coming all the way back up to center again, reaching up nice and tall. Exhaling, taking that left hand down to that left side, right hand over their head. Reaching up towards that corner of the room, really taking the fingertips up towards the sky, feeling that lengthening through that right side, breathing into that right lung. Drishti is the right thumb or the left thumb, whichever feels better for you. Check in throughout your yoga practice, maintaining that smooth, even breath, but really listening to the body. And then coming all the way back to the center, sitting up nice and tall. From here, coming over onto all fours, setting up into our neutral tabletop position. Taking the hands and placing the hands just underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, about a hip width distance apart. And then picking up that right foot and that right leg, hooking that right foot in front of the left knee, so you're creating a figure of 4 through your legs here. And then from here, moving through our cat-cow. So inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the head, reaching up with that tailbone. As you exhale, coming in the opposite direction, lifting up through the belly, dropping the head and the neck, curving through the spine. So inhaling, coming through into our cow. Exhaling, coming all the way through into cat. Inhaling into cow, really extending through that movement. Exhaling all the way through into cats. And one more time, inhaling, lifting up that tailbone and that head as you sink the belly. Exhaling, coming all the way through to the cats. And then gently coming back to center, unhooking that right foot, and then just coming back into that neutral tabletop and just taking a small circle through the hips. And then coming around in the other direction, taking another circle through the hips, coming in the other direction, just mobilizing through those hips, keeping them nice and open, nice and loose. And then coming back to center, picking up that left foot, hooking that left foot in front of that right knee, and we'll repeat the cat-cow this side. So inhaling, lifting up into cow, dropping that belly as you lift the head. Exhaling, coming all the way through into cats. Inhaling, dropping into cow. Exhaling, coming through into cats. Noticing the opening up through the hip as we gently mobilize through the spine. Moving with the breath, keeping that breath nice and long and deep. Making the exhale as long as, if not longer than the inhale. And then coming back to center, unhooking that left leg and coming back to center into that neutral tabletop position. And from here, just start to make some gentle circles through the top of the body now. So you're just taking the chest around and making a nice big circle, coming all the way around over those wrists, warming up through that upper body. And then stopping and then coming around and making nice big circles again in the opposite direction. Moving with the breath, coming back to center. And from here, inhaling, and as you inhale, lifting up that right arm and that left leg and stretching them all, the arm and the leg in the opposite direction, lengthening through that spine, keeping the hips facing the earth. And then gently release, coming back to center. And inhaling, lifting up that left hand and that right leg and really reaching all the way out to the opposite sides of the room, remembering that nice long breaths. And exhaling, coming all the way back to center. And then from here, Inhaling, as you inhale, curling through the toes. As you exhale, taking the hips over the heels and starting to lift yourself all the way up into a nice, easy downward facing dog. Keeping a bend through the knees. Nice, easy dog here. And then start to just gently pedal and walk your dog, taking a range of movement through the feet, through the ankles, up through the calves, into the backs of the legs. Feeling the connection to the earth through the palms of the hands, trying to let the tension drip away from the shoulders and the neck. Breathing nice and deeply. And then from here, gently walk your feet up towards your hands, and then take the feet so they're roughly about a hip width distance apart, keeping that deep bend through the knees. Come into what we call a nice, easy forward fold. So keeping that bend through the knees, and just letting the tension start to drip away from the shoulders, the neck, the upper back. Forward folds are really good for relaxing the body. Back bends energize the body. So we're just trying to relax everything, let go of that tension, so it makes it so much easier as we move through our practice. Clasping hold of opposite elbows now, coming into our ragdoll and holding in the ragdoll. Maybe swinging from side to side if that feels good for you, or some people like to take a figure eight. Just check in here, listen to the body, what feels good for you. Breathing nice and deeply, just letting all that tension drift away. And then when you're ready, letting go of the elbows, taking a deep bend through the knees, taking the hips back towards the back of the room, and then starting to uncurl through the spine, coming up slowly, vertebra by vertebra, just gently unfolding the spine, stacking one vertebra on top of the other. As you slowly, gently make your way up to standing, coming up into Tadasana or mountain pose. So taking the feet, again, about a hip width distance apart, just checking in here just to Tadasana. So reaching down into the earth through four corners of your feet, really feeling that connection to the earth. Keeping a soft bend in the knees, just keeping that micro bend there, just to keep that spring in the step. Taking that pelvic floor, lifting it, pulling that navel in and up, and then rolling the shoulders back down your back, keeping the head just gently resting on top of the spine, and just start to feel that grace in the mountain pose, feeling the connection to the earth, feeling how grounded you are to the earth. And then from here, moving through our classical Surya Namaskara. So inhaling, lifting the arms up through the midline of the body, reaching up nice and tall. Exhaling, coming through into a nice easy forward fold, keeping that bend through the knees. Inhaling, taking a step back with that right foot, dropping down onto that right knee, letting go of those right toes, and holding here in the low lunge, just staying wherever feels good for you. You don't have to come exceptionally deep here. Just come to wherever feels good, wherever you can start to feel that slow, gentle edge. You may want to dynamically move in and out of the dynamic lunge, just coming back and forward. Just again, encouraging a range of movement through the joints, keeping those muscles nice and flexible, nice and warm. And then noticing as you come forward, you may come forward that little bit deeper after that dynamic movement. And then inhaling, picking up that left foot, taking that left foot back behind you to meet up with the right knee, just gently coming back onto your heels and coming back into that child's pose. Take a nice long inhale, really filling up the back of the body, and a nice long exhale, just letting it all go as you sink into the mat. And then inhaling, starting to wave your spine and coming all the way forward to lying face down onto the mat. From here, taking your hands just outside the mat onto the gecko fingertips, lifting up through the elbows, pointing the elbows to the sky, tops of the feet engaged with the earth. Inhaling, lifting up, only coming up halfway though. And then as you exhale, start to wave. And then just breathing into that waving motion, coming into our wavy cobra. Again, just releasing through the shoulders, through the upper back. Encouraging the body to let go of any tension it may be holding. that you've accumulated throughout the day, hunched over mobile phones, computers, screens. And then gently release, coming back down to center, taking the hands underneath the shoulders. And then inhaling, lifting up into that tabletop position. Exhaling, coming all the way back into that child's pose. Take a nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. And then picking up that right foot, taking that right foot forward in between your hands at the front of the mat and coming back into that low lunge through that left hip flexor. Again, just holding here, wherever feels good for you. You may want to dynamically come in and out. Bending through that right knee and straightening out. Moving with the breath. And then coming all the way back. And then picking up that back left toes and coming onto the toes of that back left foot, lifting yourself up and taking that left foot forward to meet the right and just coming forward into that forward fold, bending through the knees, clasping onto the elbows. And again, just hold here in that ragdoll position just for a breath or two. Maybe taking some nice easy movement through the head and the neck. Taking some nice, easy yes-no movements, just feeling the freedom of the movement through the neck and the shoulders. And then inhaling, taking the knees back, taking the arms up in line with the ears, lifting up through the core and lifting yourself all the way back up to standing, reaching up nice and tall. Hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. Well done. Take a nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. And then we'll repeat. So again, just feeling that Tadasana, that mountain pose, feeling all four corners of the feet rooted to the earth, soft bend through the knees, pelvic floor lifted and engaged, navel in and up, shoulders back and down. Inhaling, lifting up through the midline of the body, reaching up nice and tall. Exhaling, coming all the way back down into that forward fold, coming into a nice easy forward fold, keeping the bend through the knees. Inhaling, taking a step back with that left foot, dropping that left knee down, letting go of those left toes and holding here into the lunge. And then the next inhale, lifting the arms and taking the torso up and lifting yourself up and reaching up towards the sky with your hands. Opening up through that heart center. And then exhaling, coming all the way back down. Inhaling, taking that right foot back in line with that left foot, knees about hip width distance apart. Exhaling, coming all the way back into child's pose. Take a nice long inhale. Filling up the back of the body, really expanding through the back. And exhaling, sinking even further into the earth. And then inhaling here, coming all the way forward, waving through that spine and coming to rest, lying flat face down on the mat. Taking your hands again just outside the mat, coming up onto that gecko fingers, lifting the elbows up toward the sky, engaging through the core, tops of the feet onto the earth. And inhaling here, and as you inhale, coming up fully into the cobra, and then taking your head around and looking up and over that right shoulder. And then exhaling, coming back to center. Inhaling, lifting up, looking over that left shoulder. Exhaling, coming back to center. Inhaling, lifting and looking over that right shoulder. Exhaling, coming back to center. Inhaling, lifting up and looking over that left shoulder. Exhaling, back to center. And one more time each side. Inhaling, lifting all the way up, looking over that right shoulder. Exhaling, back to center. Inhaling, lifting up, looking over that left shoulder. Exhaling, coming all the way back to center. Well done. Gently taking the hands underneath the shoulders here. Take a nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. And then inhaling, lifting yourself up onto all fours. Exhaling, sitting all the way back over your heels, coming back into our extended child's pose. Take a nice long inhale, a nice long exhale. And then picking up that left foot, taking that left foot forward in between your hands, coming back into that low lunge, holding here for a breath or two. And then on the next inhale, lifting your arms up in the torso, up, reaching up towards the sky, opening up through that heart center. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming all the way back, taking the hands outside that front foot. Inhaling, coming back onto the toes of that back right foot. And then taking a step forward, taking your feet about hip width distance apart, keeping that soft bend through the knees, engaging through the core, coming into that nice, easy forward fold. Letting the head just fall away here, just feeling the tension release through that neck. Maybe taking some nice, easy, gentle neck circles in one direction. And then coming around in the other direction, just feeling that freedom of movement through the neck and the shoulders in this position. And then coming back to center. From here, taking those hips back, lifting up those arms in line with the ears, and then inhaling and lifting yourself all the way back up to the standing up nice and tall, reaching through this core up towards the sky. Exhale and taking the hands to the heart center. Samastitihi. Well done. Take a nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. And then from here, just keeping the feet roughly about a hip width distance apart, keeping that bend through the knees. We're just going to swing up and down here just to keep everything nice and fluid, keeping a range of movement and motion as we keep nice and warm. So inhaling, lifting the arms up, and as you exhale, bending through the knees, swinging the arms back up and over your head. Inhaling, swinging up. Exhaling, swinging down, arms over the head. Inhaling, lifting up, engaging through the core all the way through, really activating that core, keeping it nice and tight and strong. One more time. And this time as you come up, gently take the hands to the heart center and come back through, sitting back over onto your heels, setting up for a modified chair pose, Utkatasana. So keeping the feet hip width distance apart. I'll come this way so you guys can see me a bit better. Really taking the weight back into the heels, back into those hips. Taking a nice long inhale, really activating through the legs here, keeping the quads nice and strong. And then reaching and taking your weight over into that left foot, taking that right foot and hooking over that left knee. You may want to come to a wall here if you can't get your balance. But really flexing through that right foot, finding a drishti point for the gaze, letting the shoulders drop away from the ears. Engaging through that core, breathing nice and deeply. Exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming all the way back to center. Reaching up nice and tall. Exhaling, coming all the way back through into that chair pose. Really feeling the strength here. And then coming over to the right, lifting up that left foot and taking that left foot and crossing over the right knee. And setting up here, opening up through that left hip. Flexing through that left foot, shoulders away from the ears, core engaged. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming back to center, and then lifting your arms all the way up, inhaling nice and deeply. Exhaling again, swinging all the way through. Inhaling, reaching up, exhaling, swinging all the way through. Moving with the breath, just feeling the tension start to leave the body. And then holding here, and then taking hold of your hands just above your back, reaching the hands up towards the sky, keeping a soft bend through the knees, just opening up through the shoulders, opening up through the upper back, feeling a gentle stretch through the hamstrings, just holding here for a few breaths, nice long inhales, nice long exhales.
And then gently release, taking your hands down just outside your feet. And then from that forward fold, just gently stepping back into a downward facing dog. Taking a nice long inhale in your dog. A nice long exhale. And then moving through a dancing warrior sequence tonight. Something a little bit different. So inhaling, lifting up that left leg and taking that left leg all the way up to the sky into a three-legged dog. Exhaling, pulling that right knee all the way through and dropping that right foot in between your hands at the front of the mat, coming into that high lunge, holding here for a breath. And then swiveling that back foot around, coming onto the sole of the back foot, setting up for our warrior one. Inhaling, lifting up and coming through into warrior one. And then gently opening everything up and coming through into our warrior two. And then inhaling, coming all the way through into our reverse warrior. And then exhaling, coming all the way through into our Shavasana. And then inhaling, coming back into warrior two. And then from here, wimbling the arms all the way around, taking them back outside that front foot, and then taking that front foot back, taking it back towards that back foot, stepping all the way back into that downward facing dog. And then from here, gently dropping down onto the knees, lowering down onto your belly. And then inhaling, lifting up, coming through into Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Exhaling, curling through the spine, coming all the way back, sitting back into that child's pose just for a breath. And then coming all the way through and setting back up into that downward facing dog. Taking a nice long inhale, a nice long exhale. We'll repeat through the left side. Inhaling, taking that left foot all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, pulling that left knee in towards the chest and then stepping that left foot in between your hands at the front of the mat, coming into a high lunge. Then taking that back right foot, setting it down onto the mat, sole first, coming all the way forward and then reaching through that bent front knee, coming up into our warrior one, reaching up nice and tall into our warrior one. Then reaching around and opening everything up, hips and chest towards the front of the room, coming into warrior two. Inhaling, coming all the way back into that reverse warrior, left hand over that left ear. Exhaling, left hand onto that left thigh as you take that right hand over, coming into Shavasana. Inhaling, coming all the way back through into warrior two, keeping that bend through that front knee. And then inhaling, wimbling the arms all the way around, taking the hands back outside that front foot, coming onto the toes of that back foot. Inhaling, stepping all the way back into a downward facing dog. Dropping down onto the knees and then lowering yourself down onto your belly. Inhaling, lifting up into Bhujangasana. Exhaling, coming all the way back into that child's pose. Taking a nice long inhale and then exhaling, pushing all the way back through into a downward facing dog. Well done. Take a nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. And we'll repeat the dancing warrior again. So inhaling, lifting that right leg all the way up to the sky into a three-legged dog. Exhaling, pulling that right knee in and stepping forward, coming into that high lunge. Inhaling, taking a step back and dropping that left foot, down sole first onto the mat. Bending through that front right knee and then coming all the way up through into our warrior one. Inhaling, opening up the chest, opening the hips to the side of the mat, coming into our warrior two. Inhaling, coming all the way back into warrior and reverse warrior. And then exhaling, coming all the way through into Shavasana, left arm on right leg, left arm up over that ear. Inhaling, coming all the way back through into warrior two. And then exhaling, wimbling the arms all the way around, coming onto the toes of that back foot, and then stepping all the way back into a downward facing dog. And then from your downward facing dog, dropping down onto the knees, lowering down onto the belly. Inhaling, lifting up into Bhujangasana. Exhaling, coming all the way back, sitting all the way back into that child's pose. Take a nice long inhale. And then as you exhale, lifting yourself back into a downward facing dog. Taking a nice long inhale, a nice long exhale. And then repeat through the left side. Inhaling, left leg all the way to the sky into that three-legged dog. Exhaling, left knee in towards the chest, and then taking that left foot, placing it in between your hands at the front of the mat. And then from here, taking that back right foot, placing it sole down onto the mat, taking a deep bend through that front knee, and then lifting yourself all the way through into our warrior one. Opening up through the hips, through the chest, coming into our warrior two. Inhaling, coming all the way back into that reverse warrior. Exhaling, coming all the way through into Parsvakonasana, bending through the knee. Right arm up above the right, over the right ear. Inhaling, coming back into warrior two. And then exhaling, windmilling out all the arms all the way around, coming onto that back right toes, lifting up that left foot and stepping all the way back into downward facing dog. Take a nice long inhale, a nice long exhale, and then dropping down onto your knees, lowering down onto your belly on the exhale. Inhaling, lifting up through that core, coming through to Bhujangasana. Exhaling, sitting all the way back, coming all the way back into that child's pose. Taking a nice long inhale, a nice long exhale. And then from here, just gently taking the hands and leaving the knees and the feet where they are, taking the hands over into the left side of your mat, opening up through that right side of the body, looking under the right arm if you can, breathing into that right lung. Nice long inhale, nice long exhale. And then coming all the way back to the center. And then picking up your hands and taking them all the way over to the right side of your mat, opening up through that left side of the body. Inhaling to that left lung, exhaling. And inhaling, coming all the way back to the center. And then coming up onto all fours. Keeping the knees and the feet where they are. And we're going to start to walk forward into Anahastasana, our puppy pose. So leaving the feet and the knees where they are, keeping that tailbone reaching up towards the sky, engaging through that core. Start to walk your hands forward and coming down to rest on your forearms, and then gently lowering your forehead down onto the mat if you can. If that's not for you today and you're not that far and you find that you're hanging here, then grab a block or a pillow, slip it under your forehead. That's fine. You can stay here if that's where feels good for you and where you can feel the stretch. But if you can get the forehead down onto the mat, then that's fine too. So forehead, nose, chin. If you're really super duper flexible, you may be able to get your chest down onto the mat. But remember just to be accepting of wherever you're at in your practice. It's your journey. Everybody's at different stages. Everybody has different bodies. So just listen to your body. Just come to wherever feels good for you, wherever you can feel that stretch, that opening up. It's a really good counter stretch for all the screen time we have. So just breathing into those shoulders, breathing into the upper back, encouraging a gentle release through the spine. And then inhaling, coming back to center, gently taking the hands back through, coming into our tabletop position. Taking that right knee now and crossing that right knee over the left, and then just sitting back over onto your heels, keeping your legs crossed here. So I'll come this direction so you guys can see me. So your right leg is crossed over your left. Staying here. And then sitting up for a Maxi and Drastic, our Tailors twist. Taking that right leg that's crossed over the left.
just coming onto the sole of the foot of that right leg. And then sitting up nice and tall. If you find that this is really uncomfortable for you and you prefer to straighten out the left leg, you can keep your left leg straight here. But if you can, bend through that left leg and take that left foot just underneath that right hip. So stretching and reaching up nice and tall, lengthening up through the spine, dropping the shoulders away from the ears, setting up for our twist. So just gently starting to turn the torso over towards the right. And as you turn that torso over towards the right, taking the right hand behind you, and then taking that left arm and cooking that left arm over that right knee. So you can stay here. This is where it feels good for you through that Tailors twist, opening up through that spine. So remembering to find the length before you find the twists. Your arm can be down here if that feels good for you. Wherever feels good, just listen to your body, feeling that twist and that opening up through the spine, breathing nice and deeply, really focusing on opening up through that heart as you twist through the torso. Staying here, just enjoying that gentle internal massage of the organs, really good for wringing all the tension away from the body. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center, and then repeat through the other side. So maybe the best thing to do is just let go of both legs and take them both out in front of you. And then take that left leg, bending that left leg and crossing that left leg over the right. Leaving the right leg straight if that's better for you, but you can bend through that right leg, taking that right foot just underneath the left hip. And then sitting up nice and tall, starting to take the torso over towards the left, taking that left hand behind you as you lift up through that spine, and then take that right arm and hook that right elbow just outside that left knee and hold here, feeling the twist through the torso. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, using the engagement of the elbow against the knee to help you really come through into that twist. But remember to check in, listen to your body. Remember, it's not how the pose looks, it's about how the pose feels in your body. So any pain, any stress, strain, then back out of the pose and find an alternative or come into an easier version of the pose. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, remembering there's no competition. And then gently release, coming back to the center and just letting both legs come back out the center in front of you. Setting up for our Tirayanga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. You may need a block, you may not. See how you go. So taking that right leg and hooking that right leg behind you. So you're bending that right knee and taking that right foot behind you to just rest just outside that right hip. Now, for some people, it's really difficult to get that right hip down without that left hip raising up. Or they may find that they can't get that right hip down at all. And the best thing to do is make sure that your hips are level here. So our trusty block or a couple of pillows, just slip them underneath that left hip just to help you get more in line with your hips here. So remember, it's your practice. Check in, listen to what your body's telling you. And if you need the block or the pillow, then by all means, take them. So sitting up nice and tall, finding that length through that spine again, engaging through that core. And then lifting up through the torso, reaching up nice and long. And as you exhale, coming through into that forward fold, taking your torso and draping your torso over that front left leg. Trying to keep both seat bones connected to the earth, or if you're using the block, making sure that the hips are nice and square. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. If you need to keep a soft bend through that knee, that's absolutely fine too. Think about keeping a nice long spine, shoulders away from the ears. Breathing in and exhaling, listening, checking in. Is there any pain? Is there any discomfort? Do I need to modify in some way or adjust? Just listening to your body. And then gently release, coming all the way back to center, sitting up nice and tall. And then taking that left knee and bending through that left knee. And then from here, taking a hold of that left foot and coming into our Kranchasana, our heron pose here. So only come to wherever feels good for you. Again, there's no competition. Inhaling, and as you inhale, lifting up that left leg and taking that left leg all the way out in front of you and trying to keep that torso up nice and long. So nice long spine, not sitting back, trying to keep that weight forward as you lengthen out through that left leg and reach that left heel all the way to the sky. Inhaling and exhaling, pulling that left leg towards the torso, keeping up nice, sitting up nice and tall. And then gently release, bending through that knee, coming back to center. And then we'll repeat through the other side. So gently unhooking that right leg, coming all the way back into straight legs at the front. And then taking that left leg and taking that, bending through that left knee, taking that left foot behind you. So the left foot's just sitting outside that left hip. Again, if you find that both seat bones can't meet the earth, are not connected, grab a block, a couple of pillows, slip them underneath your hips, just to make sure that your hips stay nice and square. So there's no tweaking through that sacroiliac joint. So from here again, if you need to keep a soft bend through the knee, that's fine. If you can straighten out your leg, then great. But listening, check in, sitting up nice and tall, inhaling, reaching up nice and tall. Exhaling, coming forward and coming all the way down, taking the draping the chest just over the thigh. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears, nice long spine. Inhaling and exhaling, really focusing on keeping both seat bones connected to the earth, or keeping those hips square if you're using the block or the pillow. Letting the tension go through the shoulder and the neck. Just enjoying the opening up, breathing into the hips. And then inhaling, making your way back up to center, sitting up nice and tall. Sitting up for Kranchasana on this side, bending through that right knee, taking your hands just underneath that right foot. And then inhaling, and as you inhale, lifting up through that right leg, straightening out through that right leg, sitting up nice and tall through that spine, dropping the shoulders away from the ears, engaging through the core, pulling that right leg to whatever degree feels good for you towards your chest. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, remembering you can keep a bend through the knee, that's absolutely fine. Wherever you're at in your practice, just listening and checking. If you need to take the bend through the knee, that's fine too. And then gently release, coming back to center. Well done, guys. Something a little bit different tonight. So just gently letting go of that leg and coming back to the center, maybe taking the feet just out in front of you. And let's just swing from side to side here. Keeping those hips nice and loose. Just letting that lower back reset. Letting the pelvic bones just reset. Just moving everything back to neutral. Keeping that breath going. And then coming back to center. And then from here, just coming over and sitting back onto your mat and lying back down onto your mat, coming to lie down on your mat. And then from here, pulling the knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice big hug here. And then from here, just letting the knees come over the hips and letting the arms just come to in line with the thighs here. And then inhaling and just lifting up through the chest and taking the shoulders up off the mat, engaging through the core. Staying here, this is where it feels good for you, where you can feel the engagement through the core. If you'd like a little bit more, starting to straighten out those legs. Keeping that shoulders up and off the mat, and then starting to lower the legs, however feels good for you, but trying to keep that lower back tied to the floor, engaged to the floor, engaging through the core, breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, and then gently release, coming all the way back to the center, giving yourself another nice big hug here. And then from here, setting up for our shoulder stand or for the waterfall pose. So if shoulder stand's not for you, if you have any neck or shoulder issues, then don't do shoulder stand. I would say that you should stick with the waterfall pose, or you can go with half shoulder stand. So let's start with the waterfall pose first, Viparita Karani. So taking the feet, just letting the feet hang up into the air, and then the legs hang there, and just letting the arms fall to the outsides of your hips. And just stay here in our waterfall pose, feeling the tension drip away from the legs and the thighs. So you can stay here if shoulder stand's not for you today. If you'd like to try the half shoulder stand, then just taking yourself back and up and coming up onto the top of your back and just holding your hips here, resting on the top of your back and staying here in the half shoulder stand if that's where you're at. If you'd like to try the full shoulder stand, engaging and lifting yourself up and just coming up onto your shoulders, lifting the knees and the legs up towards the sky. Breathing in nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, staying with whichever variation of the shoulder stand feels good for you. Viparita Karani, half shoulder stand, full shoulder stand. Just moving with the breath here, checking in, listening to the breathing. Knowing that the shoulder stand is one of the most therapeutic poses we can come into, so good for the hormones, balancing the hormones. Also good for taking the stress away from the legs, the feet, the ankles. It's the mother of the asana, the queen of the asana. Usually follows the headstand, good counter pose for the headstand. And then when you're ready, slowly release, starting to uncurl through the spine, taking the spine down onto the mat, coming down vertebra by vertebra, gently uncurling through the spine, and then lowering the legs down onto the mat, engaging through that core to do so. And then from here, lying back onto your mat, setting up for our Shavasana, our relaxation. Letting the legs just fall out to the sides of the mat, letting the arms fall out to the sides of the mat, coming into the most important pose of our practice, our Shavasana. Letting the shoulders relax, feeling them sink. Gently closing the eyes, starting to slow down that mind, letting go of the Ujjayi breathing. Just coming back to the normal breath, your normal cadence. Not controlling the mind, just letting it slow down. Not controlling the breath, just letting it slow down. And slowly releasing all the tension through the body, letting everything sink away into the earth. Starting to notice sounds surrounding you. The sounds in the room, the sounds outside of the room. Not placing any judgment on the sounds, they're neither good nor bad, but just noticing those sounds. As you notice those sounds, just starting to focus on them, becoming aware, and feeling the vibrations from those sounds on the outer ear, And that vibration starts to move from the outer ear down through the inner ear. Coming through the inner ear, down through into the mouth, onto the lips, through into the jaw. And as that vibration moves through your face and your jaw, you can just feel them start to relax. All the tension just drifting away. Coming down through your throat. Feeling the sides of the throat relax. Coming down through into your shoulders. Down through your arms, into your wrists. Down through into the palms of your hands, into your fingertips. All that tension just slowly melting away. Maybe feeling some tingling in the palms and the fingertips. Going down through the core, through the chest, the belly. Letting go of those bandhas, feeling the spine returning to its neutral position. Feeling all those curves in the spine just relax. Coming down through the hips. Letting that lower back release. Down through the quads, the thighs, the hamstrings, the knees, the shins and the calves. Feeling those ankles relax, tops of the feet, the soles of the feet. Your big toes relax, and then all of the individual toes on the remaining feet, on your feet. Relax and let go, letting all that tension just drift away. Feeling yourself starting to sink further and further into the earth. As that tension just drains away from your body into Mother Earth, letting Mother Earth take away all that tension, all that stress. And as Mother Earth takes all that weight away from the body, you can feel yourself start to become lighter and lighter as you're just gently floating on your mat, light as a feather. Staying here, resting, floating. Feeling yourself move to a nice safe place. Maybe a place where you can connect with nature, beside the sea, beside a lake, in the forest, on a mountaintop, wherever you can feel that safety, that connection, that groundedness, as you gently float here on your mat. Becoming nice and light. Making that connection with nature. Making that connection with the universe. And then from here, slowly, gently, bringing your awareness back into the room. Taking some slow, gentle movement through your fingers and your toes, your hands and your feet.
And then taking a nice long inhale, and as you inhale, lifting the arms and reaching the arms all the way over your head as you stretch the feet nice and long. Feeling that lengthening through the torso. Exhaling, pulling the knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice big hug here. Maybe gently massaging from side to side, giving that spine a gentle massage. Gently rocking from side to side. And then rolling over onto your right side if you can, and coming into that fetal position, resting in that fetal position. Just for a breath, just for a pulse, letting that central nervous system reset. And then when you're ready, coming back up to seated, coming back into that nice easy seat. Feeling those seat bones connected to the earth, sitting up nice and tall. Nice long spine, shoulders away from the ears. And finishing with a pranayama exercise, we'll move through Nadi Shodhana, our alternate nostril breathing, to really help balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So taking that right hand and placing the index finger and the middle finger just on the third eye in the middle of your forehead. Right thumb on that right nostril, right ring finger on the left nostril, and just gently letting that pinky finger curl into the palm. Taking a nice long inhale through both nostrils. Gently closing off the right and exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Letting go, exhaling through both nostrils. Take a moment here just to check in. Noticing how smooth and calm the breath is. Noticing how calm and centered the mind is. Gently opening the eyes, sitting up nice and tall. Taking a nice long inhale, we'll finish with a nice big Om. So breathing in, taking the hands to prayer pose. Om.
From my heart to yours, namaste. Hope you enjoyed your practice this evening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening and look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Namaste.